ADP, again, I like all of these guys. I like everyone in this class. But when you start talking about really breaking down player A versus player B, Mondesi at 44, I think is a real value. Guys, people forget. He was having... Hey, that's fine. Listen, Malpal, you just heard me talk for 20 freaking minutes about the Pittsburgh Pirates. I could certainly appreciate your San Diego bias. Right? That's what this is all about. But Mondesi, Kevin, I hope you're on the same thought process because I know you're more in tune with this, okay? People forget last year he was having a career year. He had stolen 43 bases. 43 bases in just 102 games before his injury. So, in essence, he was on pace for around 60 stolen bases and around 15 homers. Talk about a breakout year. Guys, Mondesi's still just 24. There's your steals, Patrick. I really do believe that Mondesi's a value at 44 ADP. He has double elite speed. And really, if you look at his, as you guys know, I'm big on info, I'm big on data points. If you look at his trajectory, aside from 2017, he's played more games every year. He's now at 20, he'll play this year at 24. He played 102 games last year. He could be a first-round pick next year, guys. If he hits 20 homers and steals 60 bases, he's a first-round pick. That's just how I feel about it. So, again, at 24 years old, we're talking about a player who was primed and who was trending in the right direction. And if you're talking about in the third or fourth round, getting a player like this, I think that's good value. That's why I have him in. Again, what you must get one of these 6 players, in my personal opinion. Because, Patrick, to your point, you gotta have steals. 43 stolen bases in 102 games. You're talking about 60 stolen bases easily over a full year. Even if he doesn't play 160 games, if he plays 150 games, 140, it's 50 stolen bases. That puts you over the top when you're solidifying the rest of your team. Okay? Jonathan VR. ADP is 35.7. He's in Miami now. He's a sneaky power speed guy. 24 homers and 40 stolen bases last year. And the key thing about him, why he is in this conversation, 274 batting average. If these guys are an average suck, I'm not interested. These guys are in this conversation because they don't hurt you in any spots. VR at 35.7, I obviously have rated lower than Mondesi, Tatis, those guys. But he's a value. I gotta admit, I took Jonathan VR the year that he bottomed out So I think y'all know as seasoned fantasy players, when you take a guy like that, 2014, his second year, he had 209 and he stole 17 bases. You kind of get this bias, right? This guy's a 209 hitter. Joey Gallo kind of was the same way for a couple years. He's a 209. He's always going to. Well, here's the thing about that. And here's where you have to be open to feedback. 1 year is just a point in time. You look at, he's a 7-year vet now. He's a 261 hitter. You look at his last, well, I'll just read some numbers off. 274, 258, 261, 260, 241. I mean, 285. He's not killing your average. Yes, he had a bump in homers last year. Maybe he doesn't. He's 28 years old. He'll play this year at 29. My point, you can count on him for stolen bases. 40, 21, 35, 23. That's the last 3 years, right? 4 years, whatever. I don't count very well. He's going to give you the stolen bases. He had one shitty year at the beginning of his career at 209. But aside from that, he's been 240 plus. And he's given you pretty darn good homer numbers. 24, 14, 11, 19. He's not hurt you anywhere. That's why he's in this category. 35.7 might be a touch high. But at 29 years old, I'll take a chance. And I think you should too. Shoot. We're at 8:08, guys. I'm not even in the good stuff yet. Again, this is the group that I want to get at least one of these guys. Okay? This group will win you your league if you get the right ones. There's 6 players there. Choose wisely, just like Indiana Jones. Again, Arnie and I are off, so I'm going to talk as long as it takes to get through these guys. I hope you guys enjoy. Ed, George, Lenny, Malpal, Patrick, Kevin, Guest, I don't even know how to say that. Helene? That sounds like German? Swedish? I don't know. I like it though. Anyway, let's get to this next tier. I'm not try not to perv it up too much. So we got 4 guys here, but this is another one. There's a lot of value here. So who haven't we talked about? We haven't talked about because that's what it comes to at this point, right? We're talking about middle infielders 16 through 18. That can't be right. 15 through 18. Sorry, I am kind of blind. We'll get to that. Malpal, good question. So, 15 through 18, Keston Hiura at 53.7, Marte at 44. This was before the trade. Just saying. Tim Anderson at 110, hit. Max Muncy at 74. So we're off the speed kick, right? We're now on to just good ball players that are maybe a little bit underslotted. Again, this should speak to the value at this position. We're talking about middle infielders 15 through 18. That's pretty freaking deep, right? Predominantly shortstops, though. Let's keep that in mind. Guys I want to talk about here. Keston Hiura. There's a lot of pressure on this kid. Last year, he hit 303, 19 homers, Again, 9 stolen bases, but 84 games is the thing people don't realize. At just 23 years old. Again, big part of this offense. There's a lot of pressure on this guy. But he's a pure hitter. And I think he's up to it. That's why I have him as the first player in this group. 53.7 for a 23-year-old might be a touch high. But I don't let him go past that 53. That's my point. I like Frank Liberetto. I'm going to talk about him in a little bit, Malpal. I saw your comment on him earlier. Let's talk about him in a minute. Remind me, please. Hyura, 368 OBP, and his on-base plus slugging was 938. Both of those are elite numbers. They're not top 10, but they're right on the cusp. If you look at it, projected out over the whole year. This guy is a competent hitter. I compare him all the time to Edgar Martinez. But I think he has more power than Edgar Martinez. I think this guy's a 20 to 30 homer guy, right? At 53.7, I think, again, it's a little bit high, but I do like him. I think it's high because I don't think he gives you the stolen base or the home run that maybe the guys right above him did. The next guy, Ketel Marte. I mean this totally honestly. When I do this, I do it really rigidly the first time through. Okay? I'm trying to group people together. When I come back to it in a month, we're going to be much more refined when we talk about this. Given the happenings of the Starling Marte trade, maybe I flip these two now. Ketel Marte is going at 44. As Arnie said, maybe the best second baseman out there last year. Here's my hang up with Ketel Marte. And it's not a big hang up because this guy really is a talented player. Okay? He's just 26 years old. First, let me start off by saying, just for emphasis, he hit .329 last year. At 26 years old. Excuse me, at 25 years old. That in and of itself is really impressive. You have to pause and take note of a batter that hits .329. Number 2, 32 homers. Again, we're talking about a 26-year-old player. This is value. Yes, he's I'm air quoting, the number one second baseman. I don't think he'll get drafted as the number one second baseman, obviously. But this is a really good player. I don't think he hits .329. But I think he can hit .300. I don't think he hits 32. But I think 20 is pretty safe. 10 stolen bases last year. That's the enigma. That is where the game, because I think the other numbers are safe. He could steal 20. He's a young guy. He could steal 10. He could steal 5. We just don't know the speed factor. But I think with the addition of Marte,